Here you go.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. So welcome to another reading of Lord MEHER. We are in 1945, October, and we're going to pick up where we left off last week. We're going to go to 25, page 2500 online. Rosalie, go ahead, please.
On Tuesday, 2nd October 1945, Baba with Erich, Baidul, Gustaji, Kaka, and Pendu started for Raipur. Sarosh provided a car which Erich drove. They stopped first at Pune. At the end of September, Perrin was seriously ill, vomiting blood, and was admitted to the hospital. The doctors had sadly informed Behram that they were doing the best to save her, but that they would not be able to save the twins. Behram thought, the savior is Baba. They remembered Baba fervently, and on 1st October, Perrin gave birth to 2 hardy boys. When Baba went to see Perrin in the hospital the following day, he named the boys Rustam and Sorab. Leaving Pune, Baba reached Raipur and stayed at Jal Karawala's house, where he discussed with him arrangements for the seclusion in Sihawa. He set out for his must work with Kaka and Baidul on the morning of the 6th, going first to Champa village in Bilaspur district. The most significant contact was Tapasvi Maharaj, an old sadhu who lived in a temple near the river. That evening, Erich, Gustaji, and Pendu boarded a train bound for Calcutta. Baba, Kaka, and Baidul joined them, boarding the train at Champa. Baba, Kaka, and Baidul got down at Karanpur on Sunday, 7 October 1945, to contact a must, while Erich, Gustaji, and Pendu continued to Calcutta. However, Baba failed to find the must in Karanpur, as the must had left for somewhere else. So Baba resumed his journey and reached Calcutta the same evening, staying in a hotel on Chittaranjan Avenue. The next day, Baba assigned duties to each of the group. Within 2 days, Pendu and Erich were to search for and bring 1,001 lower middle class people and assemble them in one place for Baba's contact and prasad. Baidu was to search for must in Calcutta and make a list of their names and locations. Kaka and Gustaji were to stay with Baba, who was contacting selected known must in the city. On the 9th, Pendu and Erich contacted 3 officials who greatly facilitated their task. The mayor, an executive officer, and a former health officer of Calcutta. With their help, they managed to secure facilities in a dharamshala in Kaligat locality for a day, erect partitions in it for Baba's work, and have a tent pitched. A secluded area for Baba to distribute his prasad was provided, and the premises were swept and cleaned. In addition, 1,001 needy persons, 601 men, and 400 women were contacted and instructed to be at the Dharamshala early in the morning of the 11th. By dawn of that morning, Erich and Pendu were at the Dharamshala, distributing printed tickets to the 1,001 men and women who had come. The Mandali had been instructed to fast the entire day. Baba arrived, and the proceedings began at 8 o'clock. The poor people were divided into 3 groups, 2 of men and 1 of women. Baba worked nonstop until 3:30 that afternoon, washing the feet of every single person. The Mandali helped by supplying water and soap, and then forming the groups into a queue for receiving Baba's prasad in the next room. After washing and wiping the feet of each poor person, Baba went into the adjoining room to give dakshina, a monetary gift from the master. No one from outside was allowed to see Baba doing this work. Even the Mandali were not present at this time. Baba would never touch money except on such rare occasions, and he insisted on absolute privacy as he handed 2 rupees to each person. After 7.5 hours, the work was over, and Baba and the Mandali returned to their hotel. They had been fasting all day, not even taking water during the day. They broke their fast that evening with a meal at the hotel. The next day, Friday, 12th October 1945, Baba began contacting the nearly 50 musts whom Baidu had located in Calcutta. Among the most significant contacts was Pir Sahib, a mental conscious old Muslim who was widely respected by the wealthy and influential in Calcutta. This Muslim saint met people only by appointment, and Baba met him at a fixed time and was most pleased to commune with the old sage. Baba also contacted another advanced Muslim, Maula Pir Sahib. Sufi Sahib was a good must who for over 25 years had never been known to sit down. All those years, this must either walked about or stood, and he supposedly even slept standing. When Baba contacted him in Calcutta, he had given up that habit and was found in a tiny room where he sat all day and seldom moved. Baba finished the work in Calcutta after 2.5 days and departed for Midnapur on the evening of the 14th. Baba and the 5 Mandali with him arrived in Midnapur at 7:30 at night and immediately set out in search of must. They found 3 and 1 sadhu. Most significant was Brahmachari Mandal, or is it Mandai? No, I can't help. Mandal. Yeah, who wandered day and night about the town and lived off food thrown out of doorways. The following day, they left Midnapur at noon and arrived in Bishnupur that evening, where Baba contacted a must called Gangadhar Maharaj and one sadhu called Swami Anand. At 2:30 in the morning, they left for Bankura, where Baba contacted two advanced souls, Ahmad Ali Shah and an old muss named Maulana Bakish. What?
No, go ahead. It's okay.
Bakish?
I think it's Baksh.
Oh,
Just
yeah, what that is, yeah, Baksh.
Yeah.
Soon after these contacts, in the middle of the night, Baba and the men left in a taxi for Bansi, 120 miles away. They arrived at 7:30 on the morning of 16 October 1945 and had to walk 2 miles through heavily flooded rice fields to contact a very old saint named Bansi Baba. The saint was well known in the area, and every day hundreds of pilgrims came for his darshan, which was given at fixed times. Erich requested that the attendant allow his elder brother to meet Bansi Baba ahead of schedule, as they had to return to Bankura. Baba and the men were led upstairs to a dimly lit room. At one end of the room, the yogi was seated on a kind of throne with one foot resting on a footstool. He appeared very still, as if he were a statue, and the Mandali felt the atmosphere filled with peace. Bansi Baba was naked to the waist, his head covered by a brown turban, a short dhoti covering his legs, and costly sandals lying nearby. He was very thin, and Baba later described him to Don. His body appeared to be mere bone wrapped in skin, which looked like wax, but with not one wrinkle. No one really knew how old he was, but some of his followers said he was 250 years old at that time. This ancient yogi was truly remarkable. The bliss and love that he radiated in that semi-dark room made him an unforgettable personality. After the contact, Baba returned to Bankura and happily remarked to the Mandali, Bansi Baba is a really good soul. All the trouble we took to reach him was amply justified. They left Bankura at 12:45 p.m. on the 16th by train for Balasore, which they reached at 8:30 that night. Baba contacted the muss known as Bengali Baba. It was said that he had previously sat naked in one place in Balasore for 12 years without moving, eating what was offered or having nothing. When Baba contacted Bengali Baba, he was by then an old man who at that time wore clothes and wandered about the town. Baba liked him and remarked that he was a good must. Baba also contacted Datta Saheb, an advanced soul who was much revered in Bayasore. That is an I, isn't it?
No, it's an L.
Yeah. I mean, that Baia.
No, it's an L. Bala.
Now, okay, so here on my screen, I can't tell if that's a dotted I. Anyway, Balasore, an old man, he was contacted at night by Baba and had to be awakened from his sleep for this purpose. Baba and the men left early the next morning, Wednesday, 17th October 1945, for Bhadrak. They arrived at 7 o'clock and contacted the Must Bengali Chacha in the village of Lokashal. It was raining that day, and Baba and the Mandali got soaked. They left at 8 the same evening by train for
Katak.
Cutluk. Arriving in Cutluk at 3 a.m. on the 18th, they went to rest at a dak bungalow. During the day, Baba contacted about 10 musts, the most distinguished being Muhammad Baba, a 6-plain Jalali must with a fierce temperament. He was an old Muslim man who wore dirty, ragged clothes. Bundles of rags belonging to this must were piled on shelves in a tea shop where the must saint had been sitting for the past 26 years. Wow. Baba tried to contact him twice at the tea shop, but the must was extremely abusive and did not wish to be contacted. Finally, on the 3rd attempt, he allowed Baba to touch his feet, though Baba was not completely satisfied. Also contacted in Kutla was the renowned Pagla Baba, who was half Mas and half Salik. This high-type soul was worshipped by many and had an ashram where disciples performed arti and puja before him. Baba was pleased with his contact, and Pagla gave sweetmeats to Baba, which he ate. A Mastani called Takor Mai was also contacted by Baba. This woman wandered about Kutla naked, except for a bundle of rags on her head. Another Mastani called Gail was contacted by Baba. She was a hefty woman who usually sat on the steps of a particular medical dispensary. Also noteworthy was Hafizji Baba, a thin old man who lay in a hovel that he had made out of the body of a junked bus. Baba took him to a restaurant where he was served tea and biscuits. The same night, Pendu and Erich left Kutluk.
It's actually cut. Go ahead.
No, say what you're saying.
I was gonna say that word Katak is C-U-T-T, not C-U-T-L.
Okay.
Katak.
By train for Raipur to prepare things for Baba's seclusion at Siawa. Jal Karawala, who was already working toward getting everything ready, was cabled to speed up preparations. On 19th October, Baba, Kaka, Gustaji, and Baidu left by train and got down at Jarsugudu in the afternoon. They went to Sambalpur on the 20th, and they could not find any mus, so they returned to Jarsugudu and boarded a train for Raigarh, arriving the next day. These names tickle me. I really like them, I have to say. As age-related, Meher Baba's must hunts were never holidays. I believe it. Baba was always working, even while relaxing. His journeys in search of must were filled with inconveniences, discomforts in traveling, barely edible food in wayside places, and little, if any, sleep. India is not a pleasant country to travel through. With its tropical sun and rains, the roads to its backcountry places and out of the way towns were rough and, in those days, often impassable, except in a bullock cart or tonga or on foot. Wow. I tell you, it makes you tired just reading this.
Okay, Rosalie, thank you. Let's have another reader. Joshua, would you like to read?
Not today. I'm sorry. I don't want to
Okay,
read.
that's all right. Just asking. How about PC? Would you like to read?
I think he said he didn't want to read on the
I was asking one other person on here, but that's okay. Eva, why don't you go ahead and pick it up if you're still. There you go.
Sure.
All right.
But Baba never spared himself or the mandali where this work was concerned. His must work was most important and took precedence over his own and others' comfort. Although many accounts of the musts are brief, one should remember that each must or mastani was truly advanced soul traversing the subtle or mental planes of consciousness, and that it was very important to Baba to contact each one for the work he was then doing. Baba stayed in Raigarh for 4 days, contacting musts. The most significant was Balu Gutta, an old man who emanated pure innocence and acted like a child before Baba. In an ashram, Baba also contacted a sadhu who, like the sadhu in Bishnupur, was known as Swami Anand. Baba remarked that Anand was a sincere seeker on the path. From Raigarh, Baba sent Gustaji and Baidul to Raipur a day ahead, and he and Kaka left on 25 October 1945, arriving in Raipur the following day. The site that Jal Kirawala had chosen for Baba's seclusion was 100 miles south of Raipur, near Shihawa. This desolate area, with dense forests and thick jungle on all sides, was known as Tapovan, where 4 great saints known as Shringi Rishi, Angiras Rishi, Machu Kunda Rishi, and Kunmag Rishi are said to have done penance and austerities centuries before. And footnote. Shringi may imply a title of high respect, such as holy man. Angiras means a knower of the scripture, or a knower of Vedangas, parts of the Vedas. Machu Kunda is the name of a sage in the Mahabharata. Kunmag may be derived from the Sanskrit word kunsa, meaning to shine. It was now a government forest reserve. The mountain Jal had selected for Baba's seclusion was called Angiras Rishi Hill and was located a mile from Ratawa village. The surrounding tract was known as Mukcha Sihawa, the central village of Sihawa being 5 miles away. Since Jal Kirawala was a high-ranking government official, the forest officials, at his request, had repaired bridges and widened the jungle paths, making them accessible to cars. Footnote. Jal Kirawala was the collector of the district, a post similar to a county commissioner, but more powerful. He had also had a hut built for Baba at the very summit of the hill. There were two caves on the hill, one partway down on the far side, overlooked the valley and had a natural rock veranda in front of it, shaded by a banyan tree. The other cave, below, was situated in such a way that nothing at all could be seen from the inside. For the mandali, another hut was built less than half a furlong, 110 yards away, and, as Baba wished, was placed in such a way that Baba's hut and caves could not be seen from it. A smaller hut was built between Baba's and the men's so that one of the men could remain nearer the top, yet still be out of sight. A bathroom on one of the lower faces of rock was constructed. Jal had made all the arrangements regarding foodstuffs, lanterns, cots, water carriers, buffaloes for milk, etc. Water for bathing had to be brought from half a mile away, and drinking water from 1.5 miles. To carry the water up the mountain was a laborious task. Besides these hardships, the densely thicketed hill was infested with snakes, jaguars, tigers, boars, and other wild animals. 6 or 7 campfires were kept burning the whole night for protection, and the mandali had 2 loaded guns with them. When Jal had been busy making all the preparations, one of the local officials had remarked to him, "Brother, even I do not have the courage to spend the night on that mountain." It was a common sight to see 8 to 10 snakes coiled together, resting in the sun during the day. While this work was going on, the local villagers of Ratawa became curious about all the activity. The workers told them, "The collector sahib's, Jal's, father is coming to spend some time in penance." No one had been informed of Baba's impending arrival, and the workers thought Baba really was Jal's father. For whom else would Jal expend so much energy by putting the whole government machinery into action in order to provide so many facilities in that remote, uninhabited place? Erich, Pendu, and Kaka helped Jal in this work, and everything for the seclusion was completed within a week of their arrival. Before going into seclusion, Baba had wanted to contact 101 musts in Calcutta and Orissa, but so far only 41 could be contacted. So, to complete the task and to compensate for the shortfall, Baba sent for Ali Shah from Ahmednagar. Chagan brought the must to Raipur on Sunday, 28 October, and then returned to Meherabad. Baba had also called Adi Sr. to Raipur. On Wednesday, 31 October 1945, Baba, Jal Karawala, Adi Sr., Baidul, Erich, Gustaji, Kaka, Pendu, and Ali Shah left Raipur and ascended the 2,000-foot mountain of Angiras, Rishi. Baba was quite pleased with all the arrangements Jal had made and praised him for seeing to the minutest details. Jal also remained with them on the mountain for the first week of Baba's 2-week seclusion, and Baba extolled his dedicated service and love. Meetings and darshans. 1 to the 4 November 1945. Baba worked with Ali Shah for 3 hours daily in the tiny middle hut. Erich, Pendu, and Kaka were assigned night guard duty. Gustaji kept watch below Baba's cave from 7 in the morning to noon. Adi from noon to 3 in the afternoon, and Gustaji again from 3 o'clock onwards. Correspondence and telegrams received for Baba in his absence were forwarded to him. On 3 November, a cable from Malcolm Schloss was received, stating that Garrett Fort had taken an overdose of sleeping pills and had died in Beverly Hills, California on 26 October at the age of 45. His suicide was a tragic end to his saga of leaving Nasik before the others. Garrett had suffered much mentally after leaving India because he had been unable to find work in the film studios and had become destitute. On Sunday, 4 November 1945, Baba declared that his work with Ali Shah was finished. Highly pleased, he explained, "The work I wish to achieve by contacting 101 musts has been achieved by working with Bapji." At 1 o'clock that afternoon, Baba sent him back to Ahmednagar with Erich. Ali Shah was carried down the entire way from the mountain in an enclosed palanquin litter carried by 4 men. Monday, 5 November 1945. Baba rose at 6 a.m. and, according to his plan, after having a bath, began his seclusion. From 7 a.m., he sat alone in his hut on a square wooden seat with a cushion that had been brought for him. He continued his seclusion until late in the night, and during this period took neither food nor water. Adi Sr., Pendu, and Gustaji kept strict watch all around the hut, not even allowing the birds to come near. Adi read quietly during his watch, which Baba permitted. In the evening, heaps of pebbles used by Baba in some way during the seclusion were delivered to the Mandali, who were told to preserve them. Baba did not explain what work he had done with the rocks or what they symbolized. Tuesday, 6 November 1945. Baba rose at 6 a.m., but did not sit in seclusion. Rather, Baba washed the feet of 51 poor people who had been brought to him and gave them prasad. Jal Kirawala had assigned the duty of assembling the poor to a servant named Damodar, who roamed about the local villages and brought the needy persons to the hill as instructed. Working inside one of the huts, Baba washed their feet and gave each 5 rupees, finishing the work by noon.
Okay, Eva, I think I'll take over from here. Thank you. Jal left later that day, but before his departure, he directed that a small shed be attached to Baba's hut for one of the mandali to spend the night in. He was concerned because wild animals had been heard throughout the night while Baba was alone at the top. Wednesday, 7th November, 1945. After a bath in the morning, Baba resumed his seclusion in his hut. He remained closeted inside all day, with the usual watch outside. He drank only 2 cups of tea, prepared with milk at 9 a.m., 2 cups more at 5 p.m., and nothing further. In the evening, he informed the mandali, "My work is progressing excellently. The spiritual work I was doing required an empty stomach. The tea helped, as the milk caused it gurgling in my stomach. Tomorrow, I will take only tea without milk in the morning and vegetable soup in the evening." Baba then directed that a telegram be sent to Jal Karawala, telling him that if he, Baba, finished his work on the hill ahead of time, he wished to rest for a few days at the Gatula Dak bungalow. Jal and Erich were ordered to be at the Dak bungalow on the 20th. From the night of the 7th, in addition to campfires, Petromax lanterns were kept burning to ward off any predators. Thursday, 8 November, 1945. Baba sat in seclusion in his hut from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. This proved to be the most severe and most strenuous day of his seclusion so far. When he emerged from the hut, his face was more drawn and weary than Adi had ever seen it. Baba's hair was standing on end, as if he had been electrified. Baba spelled on the board, "A gigantic disaster will overwhelm the world, which will wipe out 3/4 of mankind." Seeing his solemn expression, Adi dared not ask anything. Footnote, regarding the 3/4 of the world, or mankind being destroyed, it does not necessarily mean only physical destruction. Meher Baba later explained that he was speaking in his own language. The destruction may be material or physical, but also may mean sanskaric, the destruction of Mayavic forces, defiling human consciousness, such as lust, greed, anger, hatred, violence, etc. Refer to the final declaration given by Meher Baba in September 1954, and to the author's book, Avatar of the Age, Meher Baba Manifesting, for a full explanation of the causes of unnaturalness and its sanskaric destruction. In the evening, Baba further observed to the mandali, "For the last month and a half, I have been under the continuous strain of traveling and doing much work. As a result, my health has been taxed beyond limit, and I have become very weak. Today's spiritual work was tremendously strenuous and tiring. The work I did in seclusion at Mount Abu, Panchgani, and Katgadam was not as exhausting as the work I did today, so much so that the strain of this working almost made me throw myself out of the hut." The dimming of my vision and the flickering of my eyelids, which you observed when I emerged from the seclusion, were all symptoms of a specific spiritual working of the greatest intensity, which was accomplished so speedily. The weight of this spiritual work was very, very heavy. The atmosphere of this place of penance and austerities of the ancient rishis who lived here, can be favorably utilized for my work. The strain on my body from this work is equal to as if I had 1 month's high fever. The work will be finished long before the 21st, and I want to rest in the Gatula Dak bungalow for at least a week. After this explanation, Baba then had a cup of soup and retired to his hut. Friday, 9 November, 1945, From 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., Baba sat on a rock in front of the Rishi's cave, overlooking the lush valley and water below. 2 blankets were hung on either side to prevent the breeze from blowing on him. Kaka kept watch on a higher rock. Baba then came down and sat on the veranda of his hut until noon. He had vegetable soup prepared by Kaka, who had been relieved from watch at 11 that morning by Pendu, until it was Gustaji's turn. Baba then re-entered his hut and continued his seclusion. Adi relieved Gustaji at 1 that afternoon. At 3:30, Baba asked for plain dal and rice, but it was not ready. Baba was annoyed because he timed his work in such a way that after working at one place, he would rest for 10 minutes, in which time he would drink some liquid and then sit in seclusion at another spot. He had asked for his food to be kept ready precisely at the close of the working interval. Baba remarked, "See my luck? Even a cautious man like Kaka fails me sometimes." Kaka brought it 2 minutes later, but the dal had not been properly cooked. This day's seclusion was easier on Baba's physique with its spaced intervals and change of venue. But he was growing weaker nonetheless due to the spiritual strain, which was increased because he was determined to finish it earlier than he had originally announced. Damodar had been staying with the Mandali to make sure water and other necessities were brought up every day. He was sent down with a letter to the sub-inspector of police to make arrangements to send coolies up for the luggage when Baba and the Mandali were ready to leave. The inspector himself came up in the evening and promised to send the coolies on time. Saturday, 10 November 1945, Baba rose at 6 a.m. but looked exhausted. His forehead and eyes were strained, yet his cheeks were glowing. Without taking any tea or food in the morning, Baba resumed his seclusion at 9 a.m., sitting on the rock veranda outside his hut. Kaka kept watch from 9 to 11 a.m., Pendu from 11 to 1 p.m., and Adi from 1 to 3 p.m. The quiet surroundings were suffused with Baba's peace. At exactly 3:15 p.m., Baba came out and broke his 21-hour fast with a little rice and dal cooked by Kaka. At 5 o'clock, he drank a cup of milk. It started raining at about 7 that evening, and this caused more of an ordeal. Baba's hut began leaking, and Kaka's and Gustaji's bedding rolls in the adjoining shed got drenched. There was no place they could sit and not get wet, so Baba kept both men in his hut for the night. Baidul, who had been keeping night watch all these nights in the winter cold, sat on watch in Baba's improvised bathroom. Later that night, Baba disclosed, "At the end of my seclusion here, my must work will be over, but I feel uncomfortable about the non-cooperation of the must at Katak, Mohammed Baba, at the end of the definite work for which I undertook this journey." Footnote: Mohammed Baba was the Jalali six-plane saint who would only agree to personal contact after Baba's third visit to him. I believe he only allowed him to touch his feet. It is like the discomfort felt when the whole work of collecting logs or faggots is done and one gets a small splinter in the finger. Now, to remove this uncomfortable splinter, I will have to contact 6 more musts before returning to Way. This will complete the must phase in toto. Out of the 6, 3 can be old contacts, but a minimum of 3 must be new. And the places we have gone are not to be revisited for contacts. After deliberating about the matter, the Mandali suggested Kolhapur and other places for this must work. Baba could not sleep the whole night. It started raining again at midnight and continued until 4 a.m. They could not keep a fire lit, and the Petromax lanterns were also extinguished by the rain. Although the area was infested with poisonous snakes, Under Baba's Nazar, nothing harmful happened. Fierce animals roared all night, but none ventured inside their camp. Sunday, 11 November 1945. That day was the fourth and final day of what Baba termed his, quote, specific special working, unquote. He sat inside his hut in seclusion for 2 hours from 9 to 11 a.m. and afterwards explained that he had finished the last phase of his work. The Tahsildar, the government official of Siawa, was asked to telephone Jal Kerawala and have him send a car to Gatula on the 14th. In the afternoon, it rained again. Monday the 12th, Baba took a cup of tea in the morning. As mentioned, the buffalo was kept on Gira's Hill to provide milk for the mandali, but it would bellow all night long because of the tigers. The villagers stayed nearby to milk it. When he milked her in the morning, Kaka would stand by his side. On the morning, Baba called Kaka and asked, "Why were you standing there?" "I was watching how he milked the buffalo," Kaka said. "Was that part of your duties?" Baba asked, displeased. "What are you doing with the cream?" Kaka said he gave it to Adi. "Without asking me? Why are you giving it to him? Pendu, Baidul, and Gustaji are also here. Why do you give it only to Adi?" "When I take off the cream, Adi happens to be there, so I give it to him," Kaka explained. "Suppose Baidul is there, would you give it to him?" Kaka kept quiet while Baba tongue lashed him. "Nothing should be given to anyone without my permission. This is my standing order. You know that. Still, you neglect it." Baba then remarked, "Your mistake has increased my burden. As a result of your disobedience, I will have to sit in seclusion again." Baba then re-entered his hut and sat in seclusion for half an hour more. When he came out, he spelled on the board, "Despite hardships, my work is 100% satisfactorily done, and I am very happy." He sent for Kaka and told him, "Your mistake completed my work. Now don't worry and remain happy." Baba took a bath at noon and spent a leisurely afternoon talking with the mandali. He drank a cup of milk in the evening before sleeping. 3 of Jal Kerawala's servants had been kept on the hill to assist the mandali. One was Damodar for odd jobs, the second servant was for marketing, and the third was for milking the buffalo. Near the end of the seclusion work, the 3 servants fell ill with fever, but Baba's health was noticeably better than it had been. Okay, it's 5:02, I think. Maybe we should take a break here, and we'll end today's reading. Eva, you could stop the recording, please.